This is the Neo65cu. From a visual standpoint, this differs a little bit from the Neo75cu, and you guys will see as well. This has some weight to it. Ooh, wow, look at those thin side bezels right off the rip here. Look at those thin side bezels. Gray gold, yes, this is the gray gold version. We got the stepped internal design. We have pogo pin connectors. They've actually opted to remove, I believe, the way that the catchpole system worked. They've just opted for I forget what they actually called it. They're calling it something different, but it's just a screw-in design, basically. They were also finding some odd noises, metallic resonance, and feedback, depending on how the catchpole system was oriented and installed. So I personally think it's a great change, albeit could be a small change for a lot of people, but I think it's a good welcomed change. But yeah, stepped internals look really great on this. Really happy about that. God, this is heavy. I really like the back as well. This has a protective film, I believe, on it, so we'll remove that here in a bit. But look at this. Look at this bottom. I guess this is supposed to be like a compass from what I read. It's all right. Like, I think this is nicer than the Neo65cu. It's really pretty. We have a really nice shape on the bottom that I think makes this extremely elegant. And then look at this side profile. So this is something I only saw, this is my first time seeing it in person, but this is what I saw in the photos, and I was like, damn, this is pretty looking. Look at that. So they've really just nailed the side profile on this as well. Like, look at this. Look at the way the cuts just, with the lighting, it's just gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. They did a really good job with this. Even this little kick, and like you can kind of see it over here just a little bit. See how it kind of just folds inwards just a smidge over there? Kind of gives you that really just elegant look, you know? Gorgeous. Recessed USB-C port. We kind of have the logo on the back just kind of brought a little bit from the bottom over here to the back, which is, you know, it's fine. I don't mind that. It seems to be their MO now with this little type of logo over here. Gorgeous though, really pretty looking keyboard. And I assume these are a slot for a big foot over here. I'm not too sure though. And then this, I'm assuming, is also some feet cutouts too. Dude, the Neo lineup has to be my favorite out of all the stuff from them. Like, truly it is. The only thing I'm seeing that's kind of bothering me right now, you guys see that right there? So you guys can see if I just drag my finger underneath, it seems like there's a smidge of a gap on the bottom. Probably not gonna be noticeable when you assemble it all, but it seems like the frame, I don't see that as a big deal though, because once you put all the parts in there, it shouldn't affect anything, shouldn't. But yeah, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Again, the thin side bezels, very much my thing, dude. It's a gorgeous looking top down over here. You know, just look at the side over here with the copper. Obviously, you're not going to see those, but it is nice to have these. In case you guys are wondering, the reason why I really liked stepped internal weights or just internal stepping inside of the case is this really helps with sound profile. Basically, it bounces sound around in certain ways, and I find it's just really good for making sound not as flat or metallic-y. And again, we'll just take a look at the bottom over here too. Very, very pretty. Gorgeous. Yeah, they have some amazing colors. We're gonna go over all that stuff here too. Amazing, dude. It is a good looking keyboard. Okay, let's go over a few of the stats because I think that's also important. Yeah, like they were talking about the strategic cutouts in the bottom of the case here too. Chamber isolation in bottom case, which we kind of already mentioned. Dual mounting system, so it has a isolated top as well as PCB gasket mount, which we're gonna try both today, see what we like better. It comes with a hot swap or solderable PCB or a tri-mode PCB. Obviously, all of these will affect pricing. We'll get to that here in a bit too. It does seem like everything is non-flex cut 1.6 millimeter though, which is good, and nothing has any sort of per key RGB, which is, I'd say, pretty much the norm these days. We have some different plates. We have carbon fiber, aluminum, PC, and PP. And then you guys were wondering about the typing angle. This is 8 degrees. And then it's an 18.6 millimeter front height. We can remeasure that and just make sure. But 18.6 is comfy. We like that a lot. This 65 has 2 different versions, being brass or copper. It comes in silver, gray, black, teal, gray gold, which is what I have today, navy, purple, burgundy, red, retro white, so these are the spray coat ones now, retro white, grayish, which is beautiful looking, and nebula. So lots of different colors. Now, the big one is pricing before we actually open this up and start building this. The pricing in typical Neo fashion here, it comes in like a little spreadsheet, but you can start off with a solderable PCB plateless with the brass bottom version, okay? So we'll talk about brass first. The brass one, 165 plateless, which I think is pretty crazy. The copper one starts at 180 plateless. And then if you want to add any of the plates with the exception of carbon fiber, brass starts at 185, copper starts at 200. And I just want to, like, again, I just want to stress from a strictly price point wise, I think it's a good price. 2.1 kilograms. And then we can switch it to pounds for you guys. But I'd say it's a pretty hefty keyboard. Well, 4 whatever pounds. Pretty hefty. Did they mention the quality of the copper? No, they didn't, which is a little something I was going to mention that as well towards the end. I don't really see anything about the, I guess, disclaimers about the copper, you know, what percentage it is and all that jazz, but it's something I can definitely ask. I don't know if I'll get an answer out of that though. Just so everyone's aware, before we get into this conversation, there are just different grades of copper, and even when I don't remember if they did say something about the 75. Yeah, like there's different grades of copper, and depending on what grade you get, costs certain, you know, extra dollars and all that jazz, but I'd be shocked if this was like, you know, the highest grade of copper. But for what it's worth, I still think this brings the copper feel and weight and just everything about copper to the board and makes it really feel good. So pretty nice price points here. And the most expensive version you can get of this, by the way, with the copper is $220. That's a hot swap tri-mode PCB with a carbon fiber plate. So without looking at the brass right now, we'll just look at the copper. Starts at 180, goes up to 220. Not bad. Not bad at all. And the brass starts at 165, goes up to 205. So I'm excited, man. I think this is gonna be a nice project. So it also came with this piece of Poron foam for the bottom, which is fun. We like that. So we have some stabilizers. I actually didn't think these prototypes would come with stabs, but extra value. Does it say it comes with stabs just to make sure? Free gift. Yeah, well, it's labeled as a free gift. So we have the wireless dongle, 2 plates, a hot swap PCB. Oh man, I wish we got the soldered PCB today. Yeah, this is the wireless one. Piece of foam, which we're not going to use, PE foam. Oh, cool. You know, I thought that was just an illustration on the website for their PCB. It's like a little planetary system kind of thing. That's nice. So we have a lot of compatibility, which good on them. I like to see it. Look at all that compatibility. Is that even ISO on this? Damn, even ISO on this. Damn. Great PCB. This looks like obviously I can't speak on the quality yet because I haven't used it, but from a compatibility standpoint, I really like that. That does a lot of really good things. Here we have some screws. We have, I think these are the gaskets in ISO top mount stuff. Oh, these are the feet. Should I apply the feet now is the question. Oh, they give you 2 different colors. That's really nice. I've been really enjoying keyboard companies doing that too, by the way, guys. Let's peel this off. It's a totally different color now. Jeez. Look at that. Oh! Okay, that looks really good now. That looks crazy cool with the film being peeled off. Holy, that is a nice coating. That is a very, you can even see there's no rippling, nothing like that. Wow. Now touch it and ruin it forever. So I'm guessing this is a wireless window hiding underneath the foot. I'm assuming that's what this is because it looks like a piece of polycarb or something like that. I would make that assumption. Wow, that is really awesome looking. I don't think the gray would look nice on this, so I'm just gonna use black. I'm surprised they went with a really long foot for this. There we go, we got it. That's what it looks like with the foot now. Kind of looks like a very unhappy face. This is basically my face when Annette and Zany make jokes. And then we have plates. So we have what looks like I don't know if this is piece. Was there a PC version as well for the plate? I'm pretty positive this is polycarbonate. Yeah, I'm assuming this is PC. Feels like PC. And this, I believe, is aluminum. I kind of want to do the aluminum today. Oh no, sorry, this is carbon fiber. I'm actually wanting to do carbon fiber instead. This is carbon fiber. I think this is also some of the extras in here too. cable and stuff. Okay. Actually, I'll let you guys pick. Type Plus or Neo clip-ins. Something that comes with the board as a gift, or should I just use these? Seems like everyone's just saying Neo. Okay, we'll just use Neo. We're not doing any foam today, and then I guess we're gonna do these switches. Yeah, I think these are a good choice. I did have to film these ones here. I don't know why, but these particular KeyGeek ones, the housings on them needed to be filmed. I have one small complaint about the board right now. I mean, this could be a big concern for some people, but I don't like how the on-off switch doesn't go past the plate. It's a very, very subtle on-off switch that you probably would need to use tweezers to flip it on and off, which is fine, but I kind of don't like that. It's like my only dislike so far about everything. All right, let's open this thing up and then see what's inside this. All right, so here's the top frame. Okay, I like what they did here. This is a built-in, well, they've already, it's adhered to this, but it's a force brake mod. And I like the positioning on these too. That's really nice, even one over here too. Built-in force brake here. Also protects the bottom over here too. God damn, this is a thick piece of copper when you really look at it. Look at that. God damn, dude. Let's start with gasket. So it looks like these just sit in a line with the pegs on the bottom. So we put the nipples face down here, which these are gonna go on the PCB. So these are gonna sit like this. In terms of where this is mounting on the PCB, it looks like we have 4 on the top and then 1, 2, 3 on the bottom. They also have a bit of a relief cut on the plate, which should help make this a smidge softer. And that's just gonna sit like that. And hopefully, yep, the magnetic pogo pin just works. So making the install on this build, I'd say rather simple. All right. And that's how that's gonna install, and then we just put down some screws. Yeah, let's do Norse. I feel like I haven't used Norse in a while. Sorry, my base kit's all everywhere because I got lazy one day. What do you guys think? Is Norse looking good on this? It does look nice, huh? I'm excited to type on this. All right. So we're gonna start off with the KeyGeek linear switches over here. And we're gonna start off with the PCB gasket. I left all the gaskets on. Maybe we can play around with those. Again, not quite as easy to take apart as some of the older Neo series board, but again, there's reasonings for that, and I agree with the reasonings for that. But let's see what this sounds like. Little HJ test here. The alphas sound nice. Carbon fiber plate. Oh, that spacebar sounds really good already. Carbon fiber plate, no foam. Let's see what this has to offer here. Ooh, the carbon fiber plus this switch is... I did not expect this from the spacebar, by the way. Let's see the modifiers. This is nice. It's a very nice sound profile. I really like it. I think the side or the spacebar and the modifiers all sound really good. I even think the arrow keys sounded great. The alphas I really like. I don't know. I like the sound profile overall. Like, this is very nice. I can see myself using this. Albeit the springs are a bit, they feel oddly heavy to me for this switch. Not something I can quantify in sound, but, or anything to show you guys. But I think if you guys were interested in this switch even, I think I'd swap it for a lighter spring. The board overall has a very full sound signature. It's comfortable to type on because of the front height. It's not overly tall or anything like that. I think 8-degree typing angles, I don't know, it's nice. I don't really have any thoughts or opinions on that. I feel like anywhere between 6 all the way to 10 I feel comfortable with. All right, time for top mount. I don't like this one. It's very echoey. I think the gaskets are the move. Maybe a plastic plate would have been the move for a top mount, but this is so my cup of tea. Hey, maybe you guys like it. Again, we're different. We're all different here. I much prefer the fullness. There's some slight resonance here. Or maybe not even resonance, just an echo of some sort. I just think the top mount, for my personal preference, would have been better suited with a plastic plate. Top mount, isolated, feels a little bit stiffer. Definitely a bit stiffer here. I think the isolated part of the top mount, though, is doing a good job on making sure you don't feel any feedback. Maybe even aluminum would have been really interesting for this, for the top mount. But I have to admit, can I say something? This, by far, by a long shot, beats the Neo65's bottom mount, which was so questionable. I think I genuinely appreciate them just putting in a basic top mount for people to enjoy. The bottom mount was so weird. I did not like it one bit. So, few things just to kind of finish up and wrap up the stream. Some stuff I really like. I think the price point of the board is really good. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but starting at 180 for plateless. Plateless would be an interesting build. I just wouldn't build this in hot swap plateless. 180 for plateless, which I like that they're offering a plateless kind of starter, which is fine. But we'll say realistically $200 to start for the copper version of the board. You might want to go for brass, make it a few dollars cheaper. But $200 for a plate, just not the carbon fiber one. I think that's $205. But let's just say, let's just call it $205 then. I think that's really good for the chunk of copper you're getting. The heft of this board, it feels very premium, very high quality looking. The aesthetics are on point too. I like the internal structure. I think both mounts, albeit I did like the gasket a lot more. The top mount with the CF wasn't my vibe 100%. A lot of stuff to like about this. The hot swap PCB having a lot of options is fantastic. So they did a good job. They did a really good job with this board. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for enduring this with me and taking a look at the board. Thank you guys for all chilling and just having a good time if you didn't care about the board. Bye, everybody. Love you.